Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fort Myers, live and online. Here, our mission is to love, grow, and serve. We are an accepting congregation and a spiritual home for many with diverse views. At UUCFM, we seek to foster a climate of purposeful inclusion and safety for all people, regardless of age, race, ethnicity, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, spiritual path, or national origin. Here, we don't have to think alike to love alike, and we welcome all to this beloved congregation. My name is Mary Cline Golbitz, and I've been a member of this congregation for almost 12 years. And I'm honored to have been commissioned as a lay minister by you. It's such a blessing to be with you. And as we honor our veterans and our earth today, I'm honored to be a part of this service, along with our wonderful Reverend Sue, our worship associate, Melyssa Caballero, the music team, the choir, and of course, our wonderful tech team that makes it possible for me to be here with you online and for you to be live. We would like to extend a special welcome to our guests this morning. We are so happy that you are joining us today. Please complete a connection card found in the narthex at the welcome table or found virtually in the chat box. The most important gift that you can give us today is a way to get to know you better. Members may also use the card for a change in contact information or a caring concern you want our pastoral care associates to address. We honor and express our gratitude to the Calusa tribe of Southwest Florida, on whose lands we call home. We also honor the current guardians and caretakers of the magnificent Everglades and other lands of this area, the Seminole and the Miccosukee. We honor, recognize, and celebrate you. If you're attending by Zoom, please keep your microphone muted and refrain from using the chat box unless you are asked to do so. We are so grateful to be here with you all today. And now, let us begin our service with our opening words.
Good morning, everyone. I just have one quick announcement before we get started, and that is the men's group is going to meet this week at 11:30 at Cross Creek. Our opening words today are by Brian Walsh and Sylvia Keesmaat. Wisdom understands that in a world of ecological interconnectedness, there is no such thing as away. We don't throw things away. We simply put them some other place. And often that means corrupting or defiling the land or the water, or polluting the air, or changing the earth in some way. There is no such thing as away.
Good morning. We come together this as we light our chalice today. We honor our common connection and the uniqueness within each of us. Please rise and join me while we recite our covenant, followed by our opening hymn, number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Please be seated. I don't see any little ones here today, but I still have a story that's worth telling. Thank you, Melyssa. I'm so grateful to have Melyssa as one of our new worship associates. Maybe you can read the title because it's not in English.
Tejedora del Arcoiris.
This is the Rainbow Weaver. Oh, I have more. So you should also be able to see some of these photos up on the screen, or if you are on Zoom. High in the mountains above Lake Atitlan in where? In Guatemala. Ishel, this is the little girl, watched her mother weave threads into fabric beautiful as rainbows. The fabric had blues as clear as the sky and reds as bright as the flowers and yellows as golden as the corn. So in these high mountains, the women weave, and she would watch her mom and the other women of the village weave and weave beautiful tapestries. And she asked, Mama, may I weave now? And her mother shook her head. Count the threads with me, my love. I'll show you how to make designs. And so she did. But her mother wouldn't let her weave. She said, you are still too young and there is no extra thread. So she crossed her arms and she walked out into the cornfields to get some peace. She studied the hard-packed dirt of the yard. I want to weave. I want to help pay for my books and my school, she thought. Day after day, she walked out into the fields of corn, and day after day, she saw more and more plastic bags that littered her path. No one could possibly use all those bags, and so they just accumulated over time. But pushing the bags aside, she decided she would take weaving into her own hands, and she built her own loom. And her mother said again, "But we don't have any extra thread or material." "I know, Mama," she said, "I won't take any." So she decided to try to weave with the natural materials that she found, the grass. And when the fabric was finished, it was too small to be a doormat or even a placemat, and it was scratchy, too scratchy to wear as clothing or a bracelet, and worst of all, it was a dull greenish color. She knew it would never sell at the market. Disappointed, she took another walk out into the mountainside where she saw pieces of black and white wool that got stuck to the pricker bushes when the sheep passed by. So she gathered all of that material and she used it to spin threads. And so she took a long piece of this yarn, back and forth she wove it into fabric. But the fabric was thick and heavy and had pieces of grass stuck in it, and it was pretty ugly color, boring, and far too dirty for anyone to buy. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She had failed again. There was no way my weaving will sell in the market, she thought. There is no way I can help. So she walked again back to the fields of corn, where she noticed along the path these horrible plastic bags, red, purple, orange, green, yellow, blue bags everywhere. They were in the fields, drooping from branches, clogging the roads and ditches. There were so many bags, it was hard for her to walk. Angry, she picked up a bag and she ripped it to shreds. And that gave her an idea. Ishel gathered bag after bag after bag, and she took them home and washed them and hung them on the clothesline. Her mothers and neighbors said, "And now what are you doing?" Like, another project, right? "You'll see," she answered. And so by the next day, the bags were dry. She cut each bag into long, thin strips, tied the strips together, and sitting at her loom that she had made, she pushed the batten over and under, back and forth, until she had used all the strips. The fabric was not that long, but it was clean and colorful. It had blues as clear as the sky, reds as bright as flowers, yellows as golden as the corn. The fabric looked like a beautiful rainbow, almost as pretty as the weavings of her mother, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers before. Wondering what else she could make with plastic bags, Ishel headed back to the milpa. The milpa is the corn. As she gathered more bags, the path looked cleaner and the countryside looked prettier. When she returned back, her mother and neighbors were waiting for her with more plastic bags that they had gathered. "We saw what you were doing and wanted to help. And without the bags everywhere, our village looks pretty again." Ishel thanked them. Then she handed the weaving to her mother and said, "My first rainbow." Her mother hugged her close. "It's beautiful, my love," she said. "Thank you, Mama. But do you think it will sell?" "Let's take it to the market and see," said her mother. At the market the next day, Ishel and her mother watched as people walked by the stalls. Finally, a woman stopped and she picked up Ishel's weaving and said, "Did you make this?" When Ishel nodded, the woman smiled. Her weaving sold, and for a very good price. Ishel beamed with happiness. Now she could help pay for her books and school. And like her mother, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers before her, Ishel had woven a rainbow. It's a true story.
Wow, really?
It's a true story.
That is awesome. I love it.
And if you ever have the opportunity to visit Guatemala or other countries, you will find weavings and bags and placemats and backpacks, all kinds of products that are made from thrown away plastic bags. Just one innovative way that one little girl has helped change the world. Today we have a responsive reading. I'd like you to join with me. It's number 555 if you have a hymnal, or it will be on the screen. The title is Some Things Will Never Change. Some things will never change.
Some things will always be the same.
The voice of the forest water in the night, a woman's laughter in the dark, the clean, hard rattle of raked gravel, the cricketing stitch of midday in hot meadows, the delicate web of children's voices in bright air.
These things will never change.
The glitter of sunlight on roughened water, the glory of the stars, the innocence of morning, the smell of the sea in harbors.
These things will always be the same.
The feathery blur and smoky buddings of young boughs, the something there that comes and goes and never can be captured, the thorn of spring, the sharp and tongueless cry.
These things will never change.
The leaf, the blade, the flower, the wind that cries and sleeps and wakes again, the trees whose stiff arms clash and tremble in the dark, and the dust of lovers long since buried there.
All these things unto the earth will never change.
All things proceeding from the earth to seasons, all things that lapse and change and come again upon the earth, these come up from the earth that never changes. They go back to the earth that lasts forever.
Only the earth endures, but it endures forever.
The tarantula, the adder, and the asp will also never change.
Pain and death will always be the same.
But under the pavements, trembling like a pulse, under the buildings, trembling like a cry, under the waste of time, under the hoof of the beast above the broken bones of cities, there will be something growing like a flower.
Something bursting from the earth again, forever deathless, faithful, coming into life again, like April.
If you have a stone with you this morning, I invite you to hold it close into your hearts. During the musical meditation, come forward to place your stone in the bowl with others in this extended beloved community. Let your stone symbolize your intentions, reflections, prayers, joys, sorrows, or milestones. You can also place a virtual stone of intention by clicking the green button on our church website or in the link in the Zoom in the chat box. I would like to put 3 final stones today. One is to honor our veterans who have served and laid down their lives for our generation, for generations. The second one is for peace and recovery in the Middle East. And the last one is for what we hold dear in our hearts. And let our prayers be heard and our hearts be restored.
Let us continue in our time in the spirit of prayer and meditation. May we honor all of those who have given their lives in service to others. Honoring all those who have worked for peace. May there be peace in the world. And may we care for our world as we care for those who love. And let us end with these words by Reverend Lynn Cox. Spirit of life and love, help us to remember. Help us to piece together our oneness with matter, our oneness that matters. May we rise across the surface of an impossible blue-green planet. May we join to heal what is divided. May we find wholeness within, without, among, and between. Help us to grow peace. May it be so. Aho, amen, ashe.
Let us join in singing Spirit of Life. You can stay seated if you'd like, and we'll sing reflectively in both English and Spanish. How many of you know that we are officially a green sanctuary here? Do you know what that means? So we have made a commitment to be stewards of the earth. We have made a commitment to practice being more environmentally sustainable. As a congregation, we have made this promise. We often have facts and information helping us to take appropriate steps for making better choices and taking action. And so today, I will be talking about trash. But what I want to do is not talk about the facts and figures, but I'd like to talk about the theology of trash. First, it's important to note, I think, that reflection upon any aspect of our existence, whether it's football or TV, film or fashion, food or God, there's a connection to our theology. Normally, I know these topics are not necessarily understood under the auspices of theology, things like sin and salvation and evil, but they're all connected. They're all connected, and we can understand them in the sense of theology. Somehow, our life is connected to the divine. I hope so, because that's why I'm here every week. To talk about life, to talk about all that is, even to talk trash. There's a science, actually, that's emerged today using basic archaeological principles. It's called garbology. It is actually the study of the language, culture, and behavior of the contemporary world of sifting through and analyzing smelly, pasty, moldy, wet trash. We're going to watch a quick little video that will orient you to what
I'm an archaeologist, so I was trained to learn about ancient societies by digging up, sorting through, and analyzing ancient garbage.
Professor Bill Rathje isn't just talking trash, he's digging it.
We're trying to look at today's society the way an archaeologist will in 1,000 years without waiting that long. All of the daily aspects of our lives, what we eat, how we clean, how we have a good time, it's all buried in here. People think I'm nuts. This is the heart and pulse of America, right here. Nowhere else. This is where it all ends up.
Feeling that heartbeat is why Rathje helped start the University of Arizona's Garbage Project in 1973. These garbologists perform large-scale excavations at landfills across the country. A special machine is used to bore down 100 feet into the trash heap to pull out piles of old garbage. Team members sort and sift through the waste, bag it, tag it, then categorize it.
The weight is 16 ounces solid. Brand is Armor.
The deeper the digging, the older the trash.
Be nice if we could get a good date right off. Coupon void after October 13th, 1963. We're getting a good cross-section of what's in the landfill so that we can get a good idea of what was thrown in, when, and what's happening to it.
You might expect food products to break down and magically disappear. Rubbish, says Rathje.
A lot of people believe when you throw paper and food debris and yard waste into a landfill, it will biodegrade and disappear. And that just doesn't happen. Food debris and yard waste, about 50% of it will biodegrade in the first 15 years. And then it stabilizes.
But the rest of the garbage that makes up a landfill isn't going anywhere for a very long time.
As far as we know, There's no real significant difference in how long it's going to take paper or styrofoam or plastic of any kind to decompose. A lot of people think that landfills are being filled up by fast food packaging, styrofoam, and disposable diapers.
But paper is a recyclable material, yet it accounts for 16 times more volume than the total amount of those so-called environmental bad guys. Translation, too much paper is being trashed.
One of the most interesting things to me is that when you study the packaging and the food remains and the recyclables at a landfill, it tells you a different story about us than when you ask people what they eat and drink, what they recycle, what they throw away. And that's because we like to think that we're recycling everything. We like to think that we're doing the right things. You get the reality here at a landfill.
And the reality is we need to do a better job recycling.
A phone book. Look at this, the archaeological record of a lost civilization.
Lost? Not yet. These remnants tell the tale not only where we've been, but also where we're headed.
We're in what archaeologists call a classic period. That means we're at our peak. Everything's going great for us. Resources are pouring in, and we're wasting them at an incredible rate. Sooner or later, the resources dry up, and eventually they collapse. This is not a gloom and doom perspective. This is a perspective based on studying hundreds of civilizations that have come before us. They've all gone through the same cycle. We should definitely learn from the past. We can make our cycle better and more fun to be in by knowing a lot about how to create less garbage.
These garbologists dig into our garbage. They dig in to learn what it tells about our attitudes toward natural resources, how it reflects what we believe in, what we care about. Maybe it even reflects the holy or our spiritual lives. Garbage is something we all produce, right? It's estimated that in the United States, 3.5 pounds per day of garbage is produced by each one of us. In the garbage can or the landfill, we see evidence. We see evidence of our desire for convenience. Sometimes we see evidence of our indifference for life. Values that have been shaped by and emerged from our history, from our perhaps need to control the natural world. So what do we find in our dumps? 41% of what goes to landfills is paper. 18% is yard and garden waste. And then from there, metal, rubber, leather, other products, 17% in total. Food waste, 8%, glass, 8%, plastic, 7%, and then the rest. So what do these excavations, or this understanding of what's in our landfills, tell about our attitudes and our values? One is that we live with abundance in general. We perhaps take more than what we need. We have more than what we need. Maybe we confuse want and need. Sometimes we impact our natural world with poisons to create the perfect piece of fruit. I'm always struck when I travel from Central America to the United States, and Ulysses and I have a ritual. We get off the plane, we jump in the rental car, we get to the first Publix we can so we can grab something to eat and buy our breakfast for the next morning, for today. And I'm always struck every time I walk into that Publix and I look at the fruit section. and it is perfect. Everything is stacked perfectly. The colors are perfect. The fruit is perfect. There's not a blemish on anything. It's so different than the world we have come from. It's a value we have created here. To create the perfect piece of fruit and to throw the produce that is bruised or damaged in the dumpster out back. What does our garbage show us? We have become heavily dependent on technology. We value advertising and packaging, even though we know it contributes to our landfills because people can sell more with better packaging. Products have short-term use. How often does a polystyrene cup get used before it gets pitched? Usually one time. And often our garbage shows us that a manicured environment is more important than what garbage it produces. So there are attitudes and values that come from what we see in our landfills, in our garbage, and it's hard to deny that some of these attitudes maybe aren't so positive for our earth. But how does any of this relate to theology, and why would we talk about it during a service in our congregation? It's true that we connect our values and our attitudes to something bigger than us, and we create a theology. So here are some of the thoughts, some of the theologies that might emerge from the garbage dump, for better and for worse, and mostly for worse. That we have come to believe that we can manipulate the earth, that we can control the earth, that there are unlimited resources, and that we can use technology to adapt these resources. Evil is more powerful than goodness, and is perceived as succeeding. There is fear sometimes of destruction, of invasion of our privacy, of contamination. And so we try to rid the world of all that is bad and needs to be thrown away. Each person decides one's values for oneself. This is a common Unitarian theology, that we are fiercely independent. The sacred is that which is unblemished and manicured. The profane is that which we must push aside, the waste, the garbage, the unholy. Our sacred space is often what we consider to be garbage-free, pristine. Sometimes our stewardship is not measured by the health of the earth, but rather by the gross national product, and that creation can be consumed. There's an important cultural dimension to waste as well. We talk about wasting time, wasting money, wasting good food, being wasteful. All of this involves moral judgment that carries a great deal of weight. It's different in different societies. And so here I am again in this pulpit once again, almost every week, to lay down here that it is complicated. And I am not here to make you feel bad or sad or impotent. That would be easy. It is complicated. Because I understand it's not that easy to recycle. I hear the words from Mickey and other people that we might recycle here, but then the trash people come to take it away and they put it all back together and they send it to the landfill anyway. I hear that recycling really is about, can you sell your recycled products? Not us personally, but whoever the they is that take care of all of those things. Can you get money for them? And if you can't, there's no one to buy those products, then we're not going to recycle them, right? We understand that so much of our hard work then just gets thrown away somewhere else. I hear that it doesn't really matter what we do as consumers, as individuals. What's most important is what the corporations do, right? Because they have the power and they have the volume. Taking care of trash in a responsible way is not very convenient. Composting here, I can't imagine. It's almost impossible. The world here is designed to be clean and neat and not have smelly heaps of composting materials. What do you do with it? I asked someone whether garbage disposals are good or bad. I don't have any experience with them, but you all have garbage disposals. I don't know if that's good or bad for your food scraps. It's complicated. It's not easy, and it's not convenient, and it's not clear what we should do. It's hard to know what's right. It's hard to know what's most important. It's true that what happens on a big scale, I think, does make a big difference. So what do we do as individuals? It's so interesting. In Costa Rica, the people trust the government. It's a different feel. And so often the government can take measures and then tell the people, okay, this is what we're doing. And guess what? Everyone does it. Everyone complies. And so at some point in the last year or two, the Costa Rican government said, no more plastic straws. Plastic straws are horrible for landfills. They're horrible for marine wildlife especially. They end up everywhere. They're trash on the ground. They never decompose, or it takes millions of years. And so they said, no more plastic straws. And guess what? We have no more plastic straws. There are paper straws. There are metal straws. There are straws that are made out of avocado pits. I'm telling the truth. It's quite amazing. And that goes for everybody. McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Walmart, PriceSmart, all of the places that say that's impossible because we're too big, or that's not what we do. At McDonald's, they don't even have straws anymore. They just have cardboard lids. I don't know what, but it's different. And so they figured out how to do it, because if they didn't, they couldn't operate. Bottom line, that's it. So that's one way that there's been an ability to take that decision away from us, take that guilt away from us. Packaging is the same. No styrofoam packaging in Costa Rica. So anything that comes in styrofoam packaging here in the United States, if it goes to Costa Rica, it's in a different kind of packaging. But it's complicated. It's hard. But our theology can help us. Theology is usually described as a dialogue, right? A dialogue between the concrete world, the things that we have to deal with, and in this case, trash, and the teachings of faith, and our connection, and our relationship. One could call theology as the intersection of the divine or the holy with the human. So, how can theology help us understand garbage and how we deal with it? Garbage has to be seen as part of the goodness of the creation that we are in. So all is divine. All has value, not just the perfect. We tell the story of the universe. That the amount of matter that exists in this holy creation of ours never changes. It changes form, but it never changes. We love this concept, right? When it comes to death and creation and transcendence, we love the concept to think that when our bodies die, our human death, that they go back to the earth and they're part of a new whole. Well, this has to apply to everything. This helps us to understand, to reuse and to recycle, and that everything is holy. Nothing gets thrown away because it's always here, just in a different form. And our universal theology of loving one's neighbor, it means to reduce the amount of garbage that is created, to consider the whole when we're creating solutions or figuring out how to manage our waste. We have often treated our trash and garbage as something that gets moved to some other place. But we have to live in community, even with the people who live in some other place. I was thinking of Jeff, who grew up in Staten Island, right? Used to be one of the largest landfills in the world. In fact, the height of the landfill in Staten Island was the highest geographical point on the eastern seaboard from Florida to Maine. Not a mountain, a landfill. It goes somewhere, right? But most of all, I've been thinking about the theology of generosity. Our Soul Matters theme this month is generosity. And when people think about generosity, often they think first of just giving, right? I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you something. But often that means that we have to buy or consume something, purchase something to then give it. That's not going to really help our garbage situation. And so I want to challenge you to think about generosity in an opposite way. I want you to think about generosity as being mindful about what you consume, because your intention around your consumerism is the greatest form of generosity. Because honestly, in the end, the only way to deal with trash is to not produce it. And that means being thoughtful about how we are and what we consume. And this is a practice that everyone can participate in. It's not complicated because it's in us. We get to control it. And I'm not saying don't recycle and don't do all the amazing things that you're doing already to help the environment. But what we can control as individuals is how we consume. And this does have an impact. Your decision not to buy the plastic chunches, I don't know, that's Spanish, right? I don't know what the word is. The chatskis, that's also Yiddish, right? I don't know, like the things, all those things that you will then throw away is a generous act for the planet and our future generations. Your decision to buy your clothing from a secondhand store and to redonate or to donate your clothing back to a secondhand store is an act of generosity. Your decision to only buy as much food as you can eat and to even choose to buy the produce that's on the day-old shelf is an act of generosity. Your decision to buy in bulk with less packaging, to say no to straws, to use the reusable bags, to recycle and compost, to use your recyclable coffee mug and drink water from the tap, all this and so much more. These are ways to practice your generosity. So don't think about it all as the work and the negative and what we have to do, but think of it as how you can give back to the earth, how you can be generous in every act and action. What would they see if they looked in your garbage cans? What would it reveal about what you really believe about the holy and the care for the earth and your generosity? I charge you to practice your theology of garbage and to practice your response by using generosity.
Thank you, Reverend Sue, for talking trash with us. One of the ways we live our spiritual values in the world is by making them real through the form of financial contribution. I invite you to animate your commitment to this community and be generous in supporting this congregation's work during these challenging times. Every month, we also donate funds to a local community organization that shares our values. Our community sharing partner this month is Alliance for Fair Food. All undesignated contributions will be received by our community sharing partners. Thank you.
Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is coming, freedom is coming, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Oh yes I know, 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 oh yes I know. Freedom is freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is coming, oh yes I know. Freedom is freedom, freedom is freedom, freedom is coming, oh yes I know.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Please rise as you are able in body or spirit as we speak our words of gratitude. By the work of our hands and the work of our hearts, our love is made real. May we be grateful for all that is given and grateful for all that is shared. And let us now extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing hymn is number 1017, Building a New Way.
We hope you don't mind if you hear this a little bit differently than you're used to. Just hang on for the ride.
We are building
be so inspiring. Our closing words are from a Cree Indian prophecy. Only when the last tree has been cut down, only when the last river has been poisoned, only when the last fish has been caught, only then will we find that money cannot be eaten.
Thank you
Mary
for
will
being.
offer our farewell words. You may be seated for just a moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us today. And please, if you are there in person, join in Hobart Hall for coffee and conversation. It's out your doors and to the right as you leave the sanctuary. And if you are on Zoom today, I will be with you for conversation if you wish to stay. If you haven't already completed a connection card, please do so now. It's been such an honor to be with you. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Go in peace.
Please join us.